Yo, yo, yo. Yo, X-Men First Class up in this.
Ex-gentleman.
Ex-gentleman. The latest, the greatest, the shittiest, the amazingest.
The firstest.
The prequelist.
The Matthew Vaughan-iest.
The Mentalist, starring Simon Baker.
Oh, why did we go there?
X-Men First Class is what they call in the business a prequel.
They also call it good.
Yep.
No?
Oh, yeah. You know what? You know what's funny is this was like one of those other movies that was coming out this year. Everybody was talking about a shitload of other things.
For sure.
And by golly, this is the high watermark, I think, so far.
It's definitely the most fun I've had in a theater so far this year, at least with the summer blockbusters. It's pretty amazing that, yeah, I was absolutely, totally not into this film when it was announced. I thought just X-Men babies is what it seemed like to me. It seemed like it was going to be a stupid young cast and boring and bland. And everything about that turned out to be just the opposite. The cast is charming, the direction is stellar, it's a story worth telling.
And they do a very good job of marrying this with the existing films.
I agree.
I mean, like a really good job. Right down to some surprising cameos and casting choices and editorial decisions. It's legit. And I do think some of the casting is a little bit off. Like some of the kids don't have much presence.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, I was really a surprisingly smart and interesting and sexy and delightfully retro little movie.
Yeah, it's strong in almost every respect of the word, although it does have plenty of flaws. The lack of presence with some of the kids is a script issue in a lot of ways. Some of these characters are not given anything to do. Some of them are a little poorly thought out in terms of how they're going to fit into the climax and what their overall role in the scheme of things is going to be. But the core elements that need to work are just absolutely stellar.
Yeah, and I think it's obvious that Fassbender is the king.
Yeah,
the king
absolutely.
of all things.
No, there's no way that you're not going to fall in love with him if you have not already from Inglourious Bastards and his other work. Yeah, I think most would agree that Magneto or Eric Lehnsherr, you could totally have strung that into its own film.
Yeah, they could do a whole series of movies that take place before the Bryan Singer film, and it's delight.
If there's anything that disappoints me, and I think this is a credit to the film, is that I feel like they wrapped up so many things that I could have seen drawn out. The relationship between Professor X, Charles, and Raven, who ends up being Mystique. There are certain elements of that I feel like they could have done in later movies, and I would have been okay with them holding off on that, simply because everything about this was so good that I
thought it was kind of sketchy with how they came up with the characters' names and how willingly they fell into them.
Yeah.
It made it a little bit too cheesy at points, but overall, it's got some good action stuff. It's so smart. The leads are fantastic. It's one of those rare instances where a movie that really shouldn't exist does a great job of earning its keep, and that makes you actually excited about the entire franchise again.
One thing I haven't seen mentioned too many places is that I actually feel like this is one of the most comic book movies that have come out so far, in that it embraces levels of the camp, it embraces levels of the seriousness and actual character drama.
It's printed on paper.
That too. But even when the period piece is done really well, the production design is excellent, but even when they're doing comic booky science fiction type sets or props or costuming pieces within that period, it feels really well done. But it feels comic booky, but it also feels sophisticated.
Like the idea of a fucking lounge on a sub.
Yeah.
Like they open the door
amazing.
from a beautiful lounge and they're in a fucking sub and there's 3 people running the whole sub.
And the gimmicky mirrored
amazing
nuclear room.
Yeah. Kevin Bacon too. He was kind of like the X factor for me, no pun intended. There is a pun intended, there is.
That pun is literally carved into this table.
But
he was not going to forget.
I was like, can he get into the mode and pull it off? In the same way that I was worried about Willem Dafoe with the first Spider-Man and he came out like a king, Kevin Bacon too.
Absolutely.
Awesome. As soon as you meet him, he's speaking Nazi in a scary room, and he's great.
Yeah. Did you notice?
Great.
Did you notice in that first scene that when Magneto's effects are happening, that at least in that particular part of the movie, the effects seem like almost stop motion, like they had some kind of quality to them that was a little different, where it's almost like they did it practically and then they maybe smeared some stuff
a little
over
bit.
The cabinet and everything swirling around the room, it didn't feel like a big CGI mush to me.
Right.
Even though it didn't feel entirely practical, it was really odd.
Yeah, it took me about 2 minutes or 3 minutes to decide that this movie was taking me in good places. There's a scene, the very first scene in the movie pretty much involves a young Magneto being taken into Kevin Bacon, who is working with the Nazis, which is a great thing to do. You should try it. And his mother is there as a kind of a ploy to get him to pull off his magic trick. And there's a shot where they reverse the shot, and you see a reveal that is just astonishing. It's like, okay, this is a real movie. This is not, and it's very comic booky, but it's comic booky in a way that's so cool.
Matthew Vaughn came to play.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people credited with it, and I'm gonna give Vaughn the majority of the credit, because there's too many people that are involved in the movie that have sketchy histories. And Kick-Ass was a good movie. It's lost a little bit for me on repeat viewings, but it's a cool movie. But it was obviously just priming the pump for a future of him just kicking everybody's ass right in the pussy.
So, one sentence wrap up.
I like hot dogs and I like X-Men.
Yes.
Matt Craven is in X-Men First Class. So is Michael Ironside. But you know what? So is Glenn Morshower. But you know what? So is Oliver Platt. But guess what? So is everyone else that's ever been in that fucking movie. This inchworm was in the fucking movie. What are you drunk, you motherfucker? He's frozen in time, surrounded by gas, low on evil.
Fucking Professor X got at him.
I fucked him out. He's freaking ass. Fucking, what am I, the fucking basilisk? Am I the Medusa for inchworms I just discovered? Goodbye. So, we are just barely into the summer's bosom. And yet, we've had 2 good superhero movies, god damn it. That's uncalled for, and it's very surprising. So, here's what I'm thinking. Are we in for a renaissance? Are we in for a summer movie season where the movies that we make fun of, that we don't want, that we complain about, actually end up being great? Thor was a surprise, very fun. And even the most staunch haters of it, you really can't find a whole lot to hate about it. X-Men is fantastic. We've got Captain America coming, and we've got the Green Lantern, both of which have done a decent job with their trailers. Both of them are actually there's more expectations and prestige associated with them than there were with the first 2 that have come out. So theoretically, we could have 4 for 4 with good comic book movies, which would be retarded. And then there's Cowboys and Aliens, which is based on a shit pile of a comic, an absolute donkey-raping, slave-driving, mercy-killing of a comic. The thinnest of ideas. It happens to have Jon Favreau and talent attached, but I have no hope for it. No hope. I have less hope for Hope Davis, and she's boring and bland, and I bet you she smells in the down belows. So we actually have 2 good movies, and then Captain America at the very worst. How bad can it be? Joe Johnston, not good, typically, but also he's not going to bring anything to it. So if the material is good, the movie should be fine. Green Lantern, the more trailers that we see, the better it looks, or at least the bigger it looks. You know, this whole year, I was just complaining about how we don't have anything original, nothing fresh, and then all of this stuff's working. Now, I wonder if the cynicals are going to continue to thrive on this kind of stuff and just combust in their own hate, or if maybe we should just shut the fuck up and accept the fact that maybe the comic book stuff has transcended being the gimmick and actually become something that's more viable than other shit that we would be dealt with in the summer. I mean, would you rather have another Emmerich Destroys America movie? I'm actually pretty happy. I'm actually pretty surprised that I'm fucking wrong as hell. So here's hoping that Captain America and Green Lantern continue this, and then what it'll do is it'll raise the bar for Ambush Bug, which is what we're all really waiting for. And before the summer's out, I have a feeling we'll have seen the birth of something very special, and that is Fright Night.
Hey everybody, my name is Ren, and I'm here because I saw a little film called 13 Samurai. No, fuck. Hi everybody, 13 Assassins. It's a movie I didn't get to see at South by Southwest, and everybody made me feel like a big old asshole because of it. Now that I've seen it in theaters, I know why. Because it's really good. It's very simple. Straightforward setup. A group of assassins are contracted to take out the Shogun's half-brother because he is an evil piece of shit, and he can't be allowed to meddle in political affairs, but the Shogun, because it's his brother, can't really have him whacked, so somebody else kind of has to do it discreetly. And so most of the movie is the assembling of the team, the planning of the attack, and then most of the movie, at least the way it feels, is the attack itself. So you have 13 guys going against 200. The battle is as great as you've heard anywhere. It's epic, it's bloody, it's well choreographed, it's dynamic. But the movie is also very thematically satisfying. It's a slow burn, kind of bomb explosion where you're watching the fuse be lit and traveling across, and then it just explodes. And then there's some really gratifying themes that get tied up in it. It takes place at the end of the Shogunate era. There's that whole sort of Wild Bunch sense of dread as an entire era is just drawing to a close. I really walked away from it very satisfied because, interestingly, Takashi seemed to be going for a theme that redemption or immortality is actually found through love rather than vengeance and honor and violence. And it kind of outdates the samurai tradition before it ends in a really interesting kind of kooky way that's just unique enough of a twist to be a Takashi type of thing, but not so outlandish that it becomes difficult to read or throwing anything off. So it's definitely something. It's playing in theaters now in a lot of cities. If you can catch it, I definitely suggest you do so. I'll have a full print review hopefully by the time this episode hits the interwebs.
Found a toad. Hello, my friend. You're not leaving. The jungle's huge. I'm here. You're not getting away, Jeremy. Don't jump into a snake's eyes. Enough of this fucking business, frogs. I'm sitting here on a shark, and it reminds me of Bess Armstrong of Jaws 3 fame. What the hell happened to her? She had like a page boy haircut, and she was cute, but she wasn't, if you know what I mean. She was in High Road to China. She was in Jaws 3. That should have been the key to massive success, but no, Bess. You chose a different route, didn't you? Did you do the dumb thing and become a mom and retire from acting? Did you do that dumb thing? Or did you do the other dumb thing and remember that you're not a good actress and just fade away? Regardless, Beth Armstrong, even though your name is Bess Armstrong, you'll always be the best in my mind. You hot 80s bitch.
Talk some.
I've got Parkinson's disease, except it doesn't manifest itself until I'm pissing. Water drips outwards and spins.